Hello and welcome to Michael and Ivanka's Grand Podcast. It's a weekly podcast where we figure out what we think about everything in the world. And my name is Michael Forrest.
And I'm Ivanka Majic.
And this week we are going to talk about something which is dear to both of our hearts, being Spiky. Yeah. When's it okay to, as the children I think call it, when's it okay to clap back? And should we always feel bad about it? Is that what they call it? They say
clap back. Well, yes. I think I would like to be clapping back more often than I do.
Allowed to.
Like,
what's wrong with it?
Contain my clap backiness. Yeah, I don't know. What's wrong? When some people, can you just is it just a rule that you are allowed to clap back at them, regardless? Or I like this new phrase, clap back.
I feel like it's not allowed, but I don't know. We'll see, won't we?
I want to be allowed.
Well, let's find out what the situation is when it comes to being Spiky. No, I mean, I always, they used to call me Spiky Mikey when I was spiky by nature and had spiky hair as well. Big spiky hair bits back at university. So that's 20 years ago. Spiky Mikey, and it never seemed like a terrible thing, but, I've had recent... I don't know, it results in the occasional unnecessary fallout if I am thoughtlessly spiky or critical or I'm just not really thinking, and that's so a lot of most of the time I feel bad about being spiky, but I think sometimes I don't know. Well, I just want to find out if I think by talking to you if there's any time that it's okay to be spiky, or should we just try and not do it at all? So nice. That's the episode. Let's play the music. I miss when we used to have the music playing under this section of the podcast, but it's not possible anymore. Or more of a fade. What's the best thing that happened to you last week?
I don't know. I've come unprepared. What I did enjoy though today, on the subject of my daughter and I playing Lego together and me being incompatible Lego players, we've now found a new way of doing it, where she commissions me to build things for her Lego stories that she's playing. Right,
so you're doing the architecture, she's doing the narrative. You've got.
I think she's doing the architecture. I'm just doing the building.
The building. You're just the worker bricklayer.
She tells me exactly what is required, and I make it, and then she continues to play. And I don't get told off for using the wrong voices. I don't get told off for not getting into the story enough. Any of that. I'm a production line. And it works. It works for us.
How are your voices? Nice. How are your storytime voices? My dad did a very good Gollum when we were kids.
Did he?
Better than Circus.
I think I get told off. I get told off if I do. It's like when I'm reading stories. Like, Mummy, why are you reading it like that? Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so yes, so it was quite nice. I enjoyed that. Cool. I like that we found this equilibrium. How are you, Michael?
What's the best thing that happened to me this week was when Coil Twitch bot cheered 100 bits. Is someone making a bot that gives you Twitch bits? That's weird. That's like a quid's worth of bits, isn't it? I don't know. Or is it one piece?
I don't even know what you're saying. You're saying
words,
you
don't know what I'm saying. I just noticed something in the Twitch chat, which made no sense to me. How am I? I'm counting. I'm getting ready. I'm just trying to finish up enough stuff so that I can take some holidays starting next week for the rest of December. So I've been sort of just seeing if I can do this consultancy pitch in my app, and despite having moments of self-doubt about it all, still kind of powering through, and that's going well. And so that I'm just hoping that it means I can get some pocket money for myself and pay to get my teenage engineering OP1 repaired, and maybe
of course,
get a new piece of Apple hardware at some point would be good. I really want one of those new laptops that has actual ports in it that you can actually plug things into, but it's a bit of a pipe dream at the moment. But yeah, no, nothing good really happened to me this week.
Nothing.
No, I don't know. It's been, I don't know. I'm just a bit knackered. So there we go. That's all I've got.
I think it's that time of year where it's a bit hard to be all like, unless you get all Christmassy on it. Like we've got my mum and sister prepared an advent calendar thing for my daughter. So every day she gets a tiny little parcel to unwrap. So that's cool. So there's a bit of joy in our house in that regard.
We have put up our Christmas tree, and
see?
I have commissioned Sharon to make me some tiny transformer size
woolly hats,
woolly Santa hats. See if I can put them on stream. So anyway, that's that. Yeah, and that will be the next best thing that happens. Let's do break. Okay, short break. If only I'd realised it was going to end. Right, when's it okay? What is Spiky? Like, well, tell me about the story this week you had that made you want to talk about this week. Let's start there.
I saw on the Facebooks that one of my friends had posted hey, anyone had any side effects to X booster? I had these sort of side effects. I don't know, whatever firm makes it. What other kind of boosters are we talking about these days? The boosters that involve the vaccine. Yeah. And she said, I've got a social event in the evening. I just want to work out if it's wise to do it that day. And so people listed a bunch of like, I had that and they had this. And then one person said, I hate to say it, all above sounds worse than COVID was. And then that just saying face.
Yeah.
And it just made my heart rate go up and I felt angry in my belly.
Fury.
And I just wanted to do hate to say it, but all of the above sounds much less less bad. Look, see, now I'm messing up my words. Sounds less bad than going to my cousin's funeral, just saying. And it's like but obviously I hovered over it and I tweaked the words till they were the cleverest they could possibly be, and then I didn't post it because what is the point? Somebody says something thoughtless and then you come in and slap them.
Yeah. If they're trolling as well, then you're just going to like feed them. They're just going to be ha 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 ha, I got them. But I mean, who wouldn't, you sort of have to, the danger is they double down on their thesis and go, he probably would have died anyway. It's like, and then you would have, no one's going to feel good. No one's going to.
That's always the next thing. How old was he? Does it matter? Did he have any underlying health conditions? Doesn't matter. If he hadn't caught COVID, he wouldn't be dead.
We're protecting people with underlying health conditions by taking the vaccine. Idiot.
It's like, so it's sort of like you can't. So I did that whole like get really angry and then calm down, and then this morning again I was like, I should have posted it. I didn't
realise it was his fault that he died, that he had the underlying health. I didn't realise it was his fault, not your fault. It's
so it's like it's all very well to make friends and influence people, but sometimes don't people just need a smack around the face?
Or a middle finger to ideally haunt their dreams. Well, the thing is though, right, we've got two different situations where this sort of thing is an issue. One is online, when you can craft the perfect smack back and really show them, and you fire that tweet off like a freaking bomb over a wall, I don't know. And then you go but does it make you feel better? Does it make the other... I think what we learnt from Dale last week is that if you criticise someone's opinion or if you tell them they're wrong, then they just double down on that opinion. They don't try and see it your way. They just go, right, we're in two different camps. Who's going to win? And apparently that is a fairly consistent theme in human nature. And the fact that... when you're online, you get a bit of extra time to like really think through the perfect burn. I think it's the polarization effect. The other situation is IRL, meet space. I don't know why I'm saying all these words. The other one is in real life, and you say something a bit pathetic in anger. and then you imagine all the things you could have said and regret that you didn't say something better in the moment.
Or even if you don't say something pathetic, even if you are smart, what is the like? You reminded me that Nick and I were on the motorbike, and a young lad in the village overtook us really dangerously, really quickly in a really shitty old car, and it was like, and Nick was like, "Sure, what?" It was like, he said, "Did you see that?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, "You should go after him. We need to tell him." And he's like, "Not in a," and then we pulled up to him, and Nick was like, you could have killed us." And there's a bit of a like, we now see the boy, he averts his gaze when he sees us, and I sort of feel like I need to go, but he could have nearly killed us. And I think at some point you have a right to go, "Sweetheart, that is not how you drive." Like as patronising voice as possible is always helpful. But Nick was also really angry and sweary, which I don't think helped.
Yeah,
it might have been, but anyway.
The fact is, we can't. It can't be all carrots.
No,
sometimes it's got to be a stick.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's ideally we have agreed on the stick beforehand. With a system of laws, so that everyone's like, okay, we all agreed that was the law. I mean, not that by being born somewhere now you're agreeing to freaking homophobic laws or whatever it is. That's it's not okay, but at least you know what the law is, and people can go, look, it's the thing we all agreed on that was correct. So you've done the wrong thing. So there is not a higher authority at play here, right? But we're talking more about interpersonal. There isn't an authority involved. It's the sort of thing that without the higher authority does just escalate. We know, without Hobbes' Leviathan, without that higher authority, tribes just develop generational rifts, generational feuds, right? Because humans are a bit pathetic. And if left to their own devices, and that mobs and that kind of thing, and that's what you get if you just give in to those urges, I think.
Yeah, I think Spiky, I'm thinking, going back, villages are wonderful. I feel like Miss Marple sometimes, now that I live in a village. I've got those village stories to back up. There's a lot of people in this village where parts of families don't speak to other parts of families because of maybe 3 centimetres of soil or 5 olive trees or something. It's usually, or a window. And it's like, the problem with spikiness, now I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about me at home. At home, I have fewer filters. What are you doing? Oh, why are you asking? Because I don't have to, I can be a bit more, I don't have to put up my politeness filter. But I'm not sure that's a good thing, by the way.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a subject for a segment, but yeah.
I think so. But spikiness has no purpose. It's not working towards a resolution. It's working towards it's a reaction, isn't it? It's a reactive thing. It's not a strategic. It's not a, there's a total lack of resolution if you choose to be spiky with people.
Yeah, rather than diplomatic.
Right. Diplomacy has a purpose. It's there to sort of get through something, agree, resolve an issue, going back to these families that don't speak each other. All they do is can perpetuate over forever, because no communication is designed to resolve it. There's no diplomacy. So I think spikiness sometimes feels nicer and easier. It's just so much easier sometimes.
But it feels clever as well. It's easier because you don't really have any outcome in mind except making the other person feel ideally as bad as you did, because you've got a feeling and you're just sort of giving it back to the other person, I think, as well. So it's more like feedback to somebody almost. It depends though, actually, whether you're being spiky because you woke up that day in that mood. There's a slight or you're reacting I was in a perfectly normal mood on Facebook, and then I see something that makes me spiky. It's all hackles up. Let's have a fight. So I don't know. I think it's
I sometimes wish, though, I was allowed to be more spiky, personally.
Yes.
You know.
Let's see the antithesis of a spiky looking environment.
Yeah,
I did not overlay some music over the top of that. That was a real mandolin in a real situation. Ivanka was doing some pom poms apparently.
My little Stitch and Bitch gathering was the atmosphere was idyllic. We had this Mandarin player, Mandarin, oranges. But that time, did I tell you I just ended up making loads of pom poms with the local kids?
No.
Until I was like, if anyone comes over here and asks to make a pom pom again, I'm going to throw the pom pom and them in the sea. And that was an example of me not showing my spikiness.
Not showing your spikiness because
that's why I've arranged this. So I can entertain all your children for the afternoon. So,
Lordy.
Yes.
So let's talk about spikiness at home. Let's talk about. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I know that like sometimes if I'm tired, I can be critical of some tiny little thing. Oh, you've done that wrong. I can express that, my partner has done something. I don't know why I'm talking in code, but they're like, you did that wrong. And I always sort of like, and it can feel like sometimes from or like, why have you done that like that? I thought you were good at this kind of thing. We're really getting spammed by bots today. So, but it's sometimes, I'll tell you what happens, what I noticed, and I think I'm right about this. I do some little throwaway micro criticism, and then something else happens, and then there's another, like, I'm a bit impatient about something because I'm trying to do something, and I know you're trying to help, but it's making it more difficult, and then we have a bit of a fallout, and then it seems like it's about the second thing, or the third thing, or the fourth thing, but actually it's really about the other little things kind of stacking on top of each other, and Michael's obviously in a bit of a grump, and he's like being overcritical in this sort of microscopic way that's starting to add up, and now we're falling out kind of thing. Because it takes energy to be kind. Does it always take energy to be kind?
I think,
and it takes self-confidence as well. It takes self-confidence as well. It takes like, oh, why did you do that thing with the cooking? I thought you were really good at this, and this is something that I know that you're not doing. And you sort of think, you don't realise that the other person doesn't feel like doesn't feel like they're the best person at this, and I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to feel like you're in a position to be kind, and you also have to have sometimes some energy to be kind, because no one can, I don't know, like, or you just never have anything to criticize, which I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I think we all. I when my mum was here and I was listening to my daughter talk, I was like, she's learnt that of somebody. The way she's talking, is that how we all talk to each other as a family? Because I think the three of us are quite direct with each other. And there's this weird dynamic of, I usually get accused of being patronising. Nick usually gets accused of being, for very similar, I think, responses. He'll get told off for being angry or telling us what to do. And my daughter would get told off because that's not how children are supposed to speak to their parents, which is sort of quite arbitrary as well, I think. And it's like, I don't know, sometimes directness, on the subject of whether spikiness results, it's like you just take the quickest way to say something.
Yeah.
That's what happens to me. Not you, me, I. Yeah. I just go, no, I don't want that. Do you want this or that? No. Well, that's spiky already.
Yeah.
Because you didn't say, well, no, thank you. Actually, I'd prefer something else or whatever.
That's a very nice thing to offer. It's just that right now, it's not maybe the thing that I need in my day.
Exactly. So, and sometimes I just do no.
Well, I think a way that a reason, I think there's this you can lean too heavily on your trust, on the trust that you have between each other. Lean too heavily on, well, you know that I don't think you're stupid. You know that I don't, you know that I don't think that. So it's not a legitimate interpretation that I am making you feel that way. But it's really, and I would definitely, say like this comes from, like that was how my family ran. It was like 9 people in a house. There was a row every single day without fail, if not, and often like proper yelling, storming out, whatever, like that would be a daily occurrence. And then you'd have to sort of like go back to this pretending everything, the only way to cope with it was just to then like just pretend everything was normal again afterwards, and which was something I really grew to hate, because there was never any like apologizing or asking for forgiveness or reconciliation. It was just like, it just kind of got added into the pile of bad blood and bad feeling that made me want to get out of the house as soon as I could, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like but I think a way that I've broken, like I've caused problems in relationships over the years, and is because my idea of love is not having to even think, once you've crossed that threshold of we trust each other and we know we like each other, that now I can just like abuse that to kingdom come when I'm feeling tired or when I'm in a bad mood. Like I can just abuse that because no, we trust each other, it's fine. And then that's just like hammering away at the other person sometimes in a completely unfair way, because that's my version of love, So I've got better though.
That is an interesting way of putting that, the abusing it. Yeah, because it is. It's like it's abusing the trust and love that you gained by being. Because I think being spiky is sort of a little bit by definition being thoughtless. Really, because you're not with it. Maybe it doesn't take energy, but it takes thought sometimes. And it's like. I quite like that definition of it, because my dad had this big thing about, you don't need to say please and thank you to family. Like we're at home, there's no please, can you pass me? It's like pass me. It's like and I think that came from his wild Balkan upbringing, but I don't agree with him.
It's
so
still
I
nice
do like
if people are nice to you. Like, why
so
should we be nice to each other at home?
Nice. I've not followed that particular value of my father's through at all. Because we are, I think there is a bit of like, what was good and bad about my upbringing, right? I'm going to take the good bits, but I'll leave the bad bits behind. And I think so that kind of like that not being spiky, that pausing for a moment and thinking about the other person, just being I mean, if you think about it, if you flip his thing and what you're saying, it's like, for these people who have our love and trust, we need to be extra kind and put in extra effort.
We need to, and then sometimes you feel like you do. No, I don't know. I'm not even gonna. Yeah, absolutely. You need to. If these are the people you care, you should put extra effort in. It's the same as if I'm going to get up at. This is not relatable. If I'm going to get up at 7:00 for my paid to work for some company, I'm going to get up to 7:00 to work for me. That's a completely
but
different
it's the
thing.
same. But it isn't. It's like being kind to yourself, being kind to the.
But I'm thinking, I've been refreshing my Italian in preparation to go to Milan, and as you're like learning a language, you're trying to like find a way to remember it. And I noticed today, yesterday, the formal Italian please is per favore, and the informal is per piacere. So formally, someone you don't know so well, you say, as a favour, would you do this? But for someone that you know, for your pleasure, just for pleasure, would you do this for me? I was just thinking, like, it's taking out the kind of transactional nature, the reciprocity from that relationship. It's, no, just do it because you want to do it. I don't have to pay you back. Yeah. So it's sort of like, I thought it was quite a good microcosm of the difference between those two, the diplomatic environment and the informal, the loving environment, the friendship, the relationships. Just do it because you want. Come on. I don't owe you. You have to do it for in return for anything. Come on.
Why do I have to do that? Because you love me.
Exactly. For pleasure. It is a bit windy because that's coming through on a phone camera, but it's quite an impressive audio recording considering it's a phone camera.
No.
What's our final subject? Right, spikiness in private, like, is it ever okay? Does it ever get you anywhere?
I think. The
way that it helps you build a tribe is by, like, the way the Jordan Petersons of the world and the Ben Shapiros of the world and the Trumps of the world, like, the way they use it is by doing these clapbacks and these owns on these, liberal leftist loony, they do that, they own them, and then it's sort of like I don't like those kinds of people either. Oh, I'm with you. And, like, seeing someone, like, take down someone you don't like kind of puts you into their tribe and gives them power. And so sometimes I think, the power of it is because of how we are. Like, we're looking for belonging. We're looking to be part of a tribe. Like, if you see a leader that is able to articulate something that you sort of annoys you, but, like, put it really clearly and really say it, that does draw people to you in a weird way. By saying who is not part of your group, you say who is part of your group.
I think the real reason why I didn't comment back to that Facebook guy was much less to do with me or him and had everything to do with the other people in that thread. I didn't want them to see me as being... I imagine them all going... That was a bit harsh even for Ivanka, and even for Ivanka's deliberate, because I do think I have, a sort of a reputation for being direct, and perhaps spiky or aggressive or something, not so positive.
I mean, especially being female, having any opinion is pretty beyond the pale, frankly.
But like the tribe I want to be in doesn't gang up and bully somebody who's an idiot. I did say idiot, but you know what I mean. It's like, and I think that's what is why that behaviour is so distasteful. I don't want to be in that gang. Ultimately, that's not who I want to be. And even if it takes me effort, and even if I'm not like that by nature, I just don't want to be in their gang. So I'll fight it on the inside, I'd like to think of myself as some form of pacifist. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I know, I do want to smack you around the head, but that's just not who I want to be.
And I think, I think something I learned from watching that person a couple of years ago, who sort of talked to some people that needed to get their shit together, was you've got to put a disproportionate amount of warning and I think this is great. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for me to? Is it okay if I am honest with you? Is it? We're going to be friends, and I think it's really cool. Thank you for having. You've really, 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 really got to put a lot up front before you have permission to say that criticism, to tell someone they're wrong.
You've reminded me as well when talking about this. Like there's a story again in the village. My daughter's in the park and my granny's picking her up, and somehow like 3 or 4 bigger kids have decided to gang up on my daughter for a bit, and are like being rude and nasty, and one of them in particular. And my mother, who does have the advantage of being a granny, just said to one of the children, she didn't argue with him or tell him that he was doing something wrong. She just said, "It's lunchtime now. You have to go home." It's like, I'm not criticising. You're done. Go. And I think that's also like a kind of that's a non-attacking way of not letting people who are joining in with that spiky behaviour to sort of go, no, you're finished. It's go. And I kind of like, I forget that, and it's not my natural. I think it's a skill that a teacher would pick up. I don't know.
They would have to.
Granny.
I think there's another pattern that I have experienced that is you come into a job and you're insecure about your abilities and you don't like you don't know. If you're an insecure person like me, and you come in and you're not sure about your abilities, you stay quiet, you don't say anything, and then as you prove yourself, you sort of like I'm always someone that like wants to just prove myself that I have that I can deliver a few times, and then that gives me permission in my mind to now start saying things directly and putting my opinion up and saying things in the way I want to say them, which is in no uncertain terms, which is not from a submissive perspective. I want to say, look, no, I've done all this. You all know I'm clever. Now listen to me, because I am uncomfortable asking for permission to, say something. But that is limiting because it means that you don't really communicate until you feel like you've built up enough reputation that you can be mean to people in some way. But it also makes people probably like, well, it does make people respond to what you're saying in a way that can help you get progress. But it also, like, you could probably achieve a lot more doing it the other way and just just being nice and kind to people the whole time, and always being, and if that would come from a bit more of a place of confidence, not having to feel like you have to prove yourself up to a point to be able to be an arsehole.
I think that's a bit. I think the problem in all this is that it all comes. The choosing to be spiky or not is an internal thing, but it's affected by external influences. So if you generally aren't being asked and don't feel heard, then that's what happens to me. Like, if I'm not given an opportunity to speak, not given an opportunity, then I will take the opportunity. And because I'm at that stage, I'm being aggressive. I am feeling angry. I'm being aggressive. I'm not. It's very hard to go, well, here's some cake. Can I talk now? It's more like, no, you're not listening. You haven't asked me. I'm it. And I think that's a bit of the problem with always responding kindly, is because it's all the work is yours. And it gets hard, especially in a workplace.
So it's like I've got enough to. It's almost like I've got enough to do doing the work. Why do I have to do all this extra mollycoddling to be able to?
I mean, there is words for it. There is like a whole thing about emotional labour for this. That sort of in the workplace, women do a lot more emotional labour, and they do the thing to keep everyone happy. And it's like always smoothing the way, always doing the work. And that's. I mean, I had a contract recently where a lot of the work that was on me, and after a while, you're like, no, share it. Let's all share it. Let's all agree that we're going to try and do this nicely, and it will be better for everyone. So yeah. Emotional labour, that's the big headline.
I guess the fact is, like, in those environments, we're all just overtired, anxious, under pressure, worrying about things, and so the path of least resistance can often be to be spiky. And you can ask for forgiveness afterwards, assuming you notice that you're doing it, or someone else points out that you're doing it and asks you to apologise. Once you've sort of got over the upset of that, but I wonder, is it just a personality, and is it something that if you didn't have that personality trait, you would be a different person? Like, how much of your identity is the spikiness? I don't know if I have to be spiky Mikey to be who I am, or if I can be everything I am without having to be spiky along the way. Or is it just too much of a resource reallocation? It's like, okay, I'm taking some energy out of the doing and putting it into the emotional labour, into that stuff. Is that just going to take away? Is it a zero-sum game, or is it actually, by being more generous, by taking a little bit more time into the human interactions, you now are part of a larger, like, people are going to help you, people are going to come to you. You're trusting people to choose to come and do nice things for you then. And they do.
Yeah.
You're muted.
I think I think it's I think the difference, one of the things is that some of us might have more of a choice than others. So I think those people that are so going back to the emotional labour and the fact that most often in a workplace, especially women, do the emotional labour. It's like because actually they've never been given permission not to, or they feel like they haven't been given permission not to. Because I mean, going back to my example, I'm sure I've told the workplace of standing up to shake a new colleague's hand, and the first thing he did was turn around and went, well, you're powerful. You know, like he was like, you're powerful, like it was an offensive, like, how dare you stand up and shake my hand? It's like, that literally happened to me. And it's like, you know, what do you want me to do? How am I supposed to approach? So I think it's that thing of like, it is a privilege to have a choice.
And it's a white male privilege to get away with it as well, isn't it? Like, people suck it up that aren't white men.
Stop, all of us, including me, stop whinging and just be nicer. That's what I say.
I don't like. I find that I think we can do better as a conclusion. I think we're better.
I would do much better if my daughter didn't keep knocking on the door. So it's kind of ruining my creativity a little bit. But yeah,
guys, what do you think? Hit us up on Twitter. Is it always worth it?
I don't.
Is the catharsis of clapping back? I think like the clapping back, it makes the recipient feel bad, but it also like makes your friends uneasy as well, and that's important to you. Even if the other person's feelings aren't important to you, your friends are important to you. So even if it's just for them, I think that's why you don't do it, isn't it? That's why you make that decision not to do it. To withdraw the spikes, to be kind, or just to not say it. The best way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. That's what Dale says, isn't it?
Apparently.
Have I mansplained this enough? Yes.
I hope so.
Thanks for listening. If you like the podcast, come to growthpodcast.com. Where can people find you on the internet, Ivanka?
People can find me at Ivanka on Twitter.
You can find me at Michael Forrest on Twitter. And everything's linked every week under the podcast show notes. We've got a Patreon. You can get the episodes right now on a Friday, minutes after we record it. If you support us on Patreon, and also you get Slack access, you can talk to us and all sorts. I mean, you can talk to us anyway if you want, but hello@grandpodcast.com is an email address that we both see if you want to send us an email. And with that said, we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye bye.
Bye 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 bye.